Thing's recording. It's like the third time I've tried to use QuickTime, so I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, so what this is the General Health Questionnaire that I use that Dr. James Lavalle made in one of his books, and my friend Ted Carlson converted this into a Google Doc. So basically, Charles Poliquin had this seminar called Biosignature. I believe it did change names a few times, and I went to it, I don't know, probably like 6 times. And one time I went to Biosignature Level 2 in Rhode Island, and Dr. James Lavalle was the course conductor, and that's how I met him. And like I said, in one of his books, I believe it was Cracking the Metabolic Code, he had this General Health Questionnaire, and my friend Ted converted this into a Google Doc, and this is what I use instead of taking skin folds. So with Coach Poliquin, with Biosignature, what he taught was these sites. I can't remember if it was like 10 or 12 sites. It's been a while since I've used it. And basically where you store fat on these sites could be correlated to hormones or organs and how well your hormones were functioning, how bad they were, how well organs potentially were functioning, whatnot. And I liked it a lot, but I realized there was a lot of problems for me. A couple of those were, one, a lot of people don't want to be pinched. 2, if somebody's really inflamed, it's not always easy to get pinches in some of those sites that are accurate. And there's a lot of people that could, have retort that with some decent disputes, but I don't want to get into all that and make this video super long. There was just issues with that I didn't particularly like, so I don't even bother with that anymore. So this is what I use. So outside from training somebody at the gym, depending on what their goals are, what I try to do is I try to help them, like everybody does, with their lifestyle outside of the gym. So what they're eating, how well they're handling stress, their sleep quality, things like that. And I try to do everything that I can with food, but sometimes there are many occasions where people are going to need to take supplements, in my opinion. And so all this can help me with this. So this is basically the questionnaire, and it's yes or no questions, or it's on a scale of 1 to 5. 5 is the worst score, and 1 would be the best score, and there's these categories. So here's blood sugar and insulin, basically how well you manage glucose. Here's thyroid. Here's adrenal function. Here's total points for liver and detox. Here's intestinal health. Here's for low stomach acid. Here's for high stomach acid. Here's for intestines, small and large, and how well they're functioning. Here's for lowered immune function. Here's for hyperimmunity. And here's for environmental toxicity. And here's for inflammation and oxidative stress. So as of now, I have 78 people on here. I've had a lot more, but one mistake that I made, wish I wouldn't have made, was when I stopped training people, I would delete them. So I stopped doing that, and who knows, I might have up to 200, so a much bigger sample size. However, 78 is not bad. And so when I go through these, what I'm often looking for is where do they score the worst, and what's low-hanging fruit, so to speak. Like, what can I do that is going to give them the biggest bang for their buck? And one thing, I don't know if anybody's read this book by Gary Keller called The One Thing. That's kind of like what I'm always doing. I'm always trying to find what is the one thing that if I just changed that thing would make the biggest difference. So I go through all these and I see where people score. Like, let me use my friend as an example here. Let's see, my friend John. So I won't get into his last name in case he doesn't want to be known. So he scored a 54 in blood sugar. He scored a 49 in thyroid. He scored a 65 in adrenal, a 16 in liver and detox, a 44 in intestinal health, a 10 on low stomach acid, a 20 on high stomach acid, a 40 for intestinal issues, 22 for lowered immune, 20 for hyperimmune. So this guy's kind of all over the map. 96 for my environmental toxicity, and a 3. So, and I know John personally. He's a friend of mine, and I know he is a business owner, and he owns multiple businesses. And so probably one of the first things that I would do with him is I would try to help him to either build some resiliency to stress and attempt to find ways to, maybe we could find ways, things he could do to help lower his stress, but if not, at least build some resiliency to stress. Another thing that I would look at is I would look at his sleep quality. Based off that. Now, some of these people, it's going to be a little bit more obvious what, in my opinion, what I think I should work on, and some people are going to be harder cases. But again, I'm always trying to find out if I only did one thing, what would be the one thing. That doesn't necessarily mean I won't work on more than one thing. However, what I never do is I never look at all these scores and try to throw somebody on a boatload of stuff right off the bat with all these scores, because you really want to make it easy for people so that they're compliant long term, so they can see a difference. And you also want to build up some trust. And so if you can give somebody something and they can actually see some difference, chances are they're going to start to really trust you even more, and you're going to slowly be able to build upon that and do more things and build up. And eventually you got maybe a pretty nice protocol for them in what they should be on. The only other thing that I probably would have did with John, and what I might have did, is I would have probably tried to work on his digestion and some of his stomach issues. But if, it's really hard to not make this video too long because there's a lot I could talk about this. But with all these people, you can see all these differences in scores. And some of the scores that you always see really bad are adrenal. People are just really stressed. You see a lot of really bad scores with digestion, and you see a lot of really bad scores with glucose management. These are really bad with almost everybody. So those are some of the things that I work on with people. And I just felt like I wanted to share that with you because, I get a little bit tired of just putting up exercise videos. I don't think that they have a ton of value unless you're explaining things more in detail. And I think this could be tremendously valuable for everybody. So I think this is great, and I'm already going off on a tangent and babbling a lot, so I'm going to stop there. If anybody has any questions about this, I'm happy to answer any questions and give you more information. And if anybody wanted to try this, I would be happy to send you this to fill this out if there's an interest. Thank you very much.